This is the first webinar of many as part of the Cambridge Biology Challenge. And we'll introduce ourselves in just a moment and tell you a little bit about what we've done in the past and what we're hoping to do in the future. My name is Dr. Paul Elliott. I'm a zoologist by trade. So I started out my my love of science and biology at school in the heartlands of Essex. So big up to anyone from Essex. My accent has changed a bit since being at Cambridge. But I came to Cambridge, well over 25 years ago now. And I know I don't look that old, but I came in, everyone's laughing. I came about 25 years ago to study natural sciences as part of the undergraduate course. And I loved it. I loved all the amazing opportunities that biology could offer. And so during my undergraduate degree, I got to travel to Borneo to go and do some research in the rainforest. Also did research around the coastlines of the UK, studying little sea lice. And I realized I wanted to research in biology. And so I stuck around in Cambridge and I did a doctorate studying an invasive species of freshwater mussel. My main focus then was to try and infuse more people to study biology because it's an amazing subject. And so my job now is as admissions tutor at Homerton College in Cambridge. So it's my job to oversee the admissions of lots and lots of scientists, and that's physicists, biologists, chemists. I also look after medics as well as economists and psychologists. And so I oversee the admission of a large number of students to Cambridge University. And so during this course, what I'll be doing, as well as Andrew, is talking about some of the questions we're asking and relating them to the kinds of questions that we ask at interview when you apply to Cambridge. So this course will give you hopefully some amazing fun in thinking about really exciting biology questions, but also you will get experience of the types of questions that we ask at interview and also when you start on the course here. Now, I think that's enough from me, and I'm going to pass over to Andrew to tell you a bit more about the course and about himself, and I'll be back at the end. So over to you, Andrew.
Yeah, thanks so much, Paul. I'll just say a few words very briefly, and then we'll get on to the sort of meat of the programme. Well, look, as Paul said, my name's Andrew. I did my undergrad in natural sciences at Homerton, the best college at the University of Cambridge. I then did my PhD in evolutionary biology, also at Cambridge, and I joined Homerton as a bi-fellow last year. I can still remember the moment as a teenager, about your age probably, watching this, when I was convinced that biology was by far the most interesting subject I was being taught at school. It was actually a book I was reading on insects, and the book made this absolutely startling claim, and I thought there's no way this can be true. It said that male ants, or male bees, or male wasps, male ants have no fathers, but they do have grandfathers. And I remember just sitting there reading that, thinking, this is such a mind-boggling claim. What on earth does that mean? Does it just mean that their fathers die very young? Does it mean that the males don't know who their fathers is because it's sort of uncertain paternity? What's going on? And I remember sitting there puzzling away and trying to work it out. I didn't have a clue, and I went on the internet and I found a really beautiful solution. Well, actually, that in ants, bees, and wasps, males develop from unfertilized eggs. So if I'm a male, I've got a mum because it came from an unfertilized egg, but I don't have a dad because the egg was never fertilized. My mum has a dad, so I've got a grandfather because females develop from fertilized eggs. And it was at that moment where I sort of really became wise to this idea that actually biology was not just a subject based on labeling cell diagrams or remembering the names of bones. It was a puzzle-based subject. It was a series of sort of evolutionary puzzles. Some animals, like ants, might have no fathers if you're a man. I then found incredibly that other species, you might have more than one father. So there's one of my favorite primates, there's a marmoset, where actually individuals often have two fathers because they actually exchange cells in embryo. If you come to Cambridge, this is one of the first year courses in evolution behavior, you get to learn about the kind of consequences of what happens when your relatedness is changing between members of a social group. In this case, if you've actually got two dads and one mother, because you've got the individuals had cells from two siblings during development, well, then you get even more care as a parent. I learned in Cambridge about the single-celled mammal, the only case of where you have a transmissible cancer and you sequence its genome. What is it? Well, it's a mammal. All these sort of amazing questions, which started to make me realise just what a wonderful sort of Alice in Wonderland style world biology was. What we want to do on this program is give you some of that and sort of trying to open your eyes to some of the really cool but also really interesting questions that we can ask as biologists. Yeah, so what's the form of the competition? Well, you probably already know that what we're going to do is every 3 weeks we're going to reveal a new interview style biology question. Teams of no more than 5 students have 2 weeks to submit a response. And just to anticipate one question I've already seen asked in the chat, someone said, and it's a fantastic question, they said, can I just take part on my own if no one else in my class wants to? Well, the simple answer to that is yes, absolutely, the more the better. Now, we encourage team working because at Cambridge, when you apply to Cambridge, if you come to Cambridge, you do a lot of teaching and work in small groups. In science, it's a group activity. But if there's no one else in your class who wants to take part, or you really want to do it on your own, that's fine. So that's step 2. And then step 3, you get to choose the form your response takes. So you could make a poster, you could write an essay, you could make a video, you could do a podcast, you could build a model and send us a photograph. It really is entirely up to you. We provide the question, you provide your response. And then the responses will be judged by us and perhaps others, depending on what's going on. We'll award points based on criteria that we'll send around. And hopefully you'll get to watch as you sort of climb the leaderboard. And at the end of this presentation, Paul will talk a little bit about what sort of prizes we might be able to offer, alongside the fact you're participating in a national competition run by the University of Cambridge, Hamilton College, and getting to think about some really cool questions. So frequently asked questions, how will you submit your responses? Well, we're creating a portal on the website, so watch this space as to exactly how. But, there'll be an email address as well. So if there's some sort of unusual file format, if you've made something and you want to send it by another means, we're flexible. We want to get your responses. We want to make it as easy as possible for you to do that. So really you can, in terms of how you respond, that's up to you. I think the next question on there, can multiple teams enter in the same school? Yes, absolutely. The more the better. There's no restrictions on number of teams at all. How long can your responses be? Well, it's a national competition, so we do have to place some limits on response length to just make judging feasible. So we'd like written answers to be no more than 1,000 words, and any sort of video or audio responses we'd like to be no more than 5 minutes long. And to be honest, that's very common. Also, so that's sort of very important skill in science. All journals have word limits. All essays, whatever degree you go on to do, tend to have word limits. So this is hopefully good practice at sort of front loading the important points and trying to get your message across as impactfully as possible. I think there might be 1 or 2 more. Who can take part? We've adopted deliberately quite a broad age range. So year 10 to 13 in England and Wales, which maps onto years 11 and 14 in Northern Ireland, or S3 to S6 in Scotland, or equivalent.
I just wanted to say a few words about what you'll get from engaging in this program. And we've talked about it already, but firstly, you're going to get experience of the types of questions we ask at Cambridge. These are questions that we can ask at interview in various ways, but they're also questions that you might get in a supervision. And at Cambridge, every week you sit down with an academic to discuss the lectures. And it's in those supervisions, as we call them, that you get to really delve into the depths of specific topics. And it's a really good chance just to have a chat about biology, about things that you maybe haven't thought about before. So you're going to get an experience of those types of questions, which will test your thinking skills. And you're going to be thinking about topics in different ways to what you might be used to. So this isn't a program about memorizing facts. It's about asking really interesting questions and then going out and looking to try and answer these questions. And it's also about conveying that information that you find in an exciting and interesting and scientific manner. So you're going to learn a lot about thinking, and you're going to learn a lot about presentation as well, whether that be on paper and models or in some kind of video. So you're going to get a lot of skills through engaging with this. The other thing that we really hope is it might broaden your interest in biology. And I have a slight vested interest in this program because what we are seeing, we've seen it a little bit recently, we're not getting quite as many applicants for biology at Cambridge as we maybe have in the past. And a lot of that is because a lot of students who are interested in biology want to go and do medicine, which is a hugely noble and amazing thing to do. But also, what we want to do is kind of talk about things like zoology and plant sciences, and talk about other areas of biology to which you might not be familiar. And what we're hoping to do is later on in the course is to bring in various academics who are studying those things to help us review your answers. So for instance, you'll hear from like botanists who are studying the development of new crops. And if you think about it, more people die of famine than they do of cancer. And so plant sciences can have a huge benefit in terms of providing food for the world, especially when we have a growing population. We'll also talk about paleontology and about sort of, the types of careers that you might go into if you want to study the ancient history of the Earth or of humanity. When we get into anthropology, you might look at pathology and pharmacology and physiology as biomedical sciences to study. So not necessarily being a doctor, but being a research scientist at the forefront of developing new medical treatments. And that's a really great career as well. There's huge amounts of companies involved in these things, developing new medical interventions. To not just actually being a doctor per se, but doing the science behind developing new processes and techniques for saving lives. So what we really hope to do is also broaden your understanding of biology. Okay. In a more practical sense, yes, we'll give out certificates and I'll probably dig out some stash. I mean, have lots of prizes that you can mention on your personal statements. And as Andrew mentioned, it's not going to get you into Cambridge, but what it does show in engaging with this course is that you are passionate about a subject, that you're enjoying a subject and you want to do more about it. And as an admissions tutor, we don't look at extracurricular activities when we make decisions, but we do look at supercurricular activities, which are activities like this, where you demonstrate that you have an interest and a passion for the subject, because we do want people who love studying biology, in my case, or love studying physics or other subjects as well. Okay. Also, in a more practical sense, we will invite you to Cambridge to come on a visit, and I'm always around to do mini lectures, and we can host some tours for you if you engage in the course. But we also have a few special activities which you will have access to. The first of them is a little pet project of mine, and I mentioned it earlier. It's the scientific escape room. Oh, there we go. This is a brand new activity, completely separate to this, called the Search for the Scientist's Secret. And it's a huge biology, chemistry, and physics-based escape game. It's not even a room. I suppose it's an adventure. As I've said on the slide, it's a scientific adventure. And basically, I've got 100 quite fiendish biology, chemistry, and physics puzzles. It's pretty much built. You can see some students doing some trials here. As you say, it's all sort of a physical display. And we'll be hosting this at Homerton across the summer. So if you participate in the course, we'll also invite you up to come and have a play on this game. Thank you all. We shall end the webinar there. Take care, everyone. And thank you again for joining the program.